In this video, we're going to look at how the white lines in the centre of the road help us to read the road ahead. We will see solid lines and broken lines, double centre lines and single centre lines, long lines and short lines, and we'll understand why each line is there and what it tells us about the road ahead. The simplest form of centre line is the single broken white line. This is used to create lanes to separate you from oncoming traffic. It helps you to position in the centre of your lane and to judge the space available when meeting oncoming vehicles. Looking into the distance, it can also help you to anticipate gentle bends in the road. As shown here, it is a short white line with a long gap between each short line. Sometimes, however, you will see long white lines with short gaps between the lines, as seen here. A good rule of thumb with road markings is more paint equals more hazard. So the longer white lines have more paint than the short white lines. They stand out more and draw your attention more. The hazard they are alerting us to could be an upcoming driveway, a school, a junction, a hill, a bend, or any other hazard which is a permanent feature of the road layout. If you see a short centre line changing to a longer centre line, then ask yourself what the upcoming hazard is and how you can prepare for it. Scan around for road signs or other clues to explain what the change of line is warning you about. Once we are clear of the hazard, the centre line changes back to a standard short line. Less paint, less hazard. Notice here how the white centre line helps us to judge the space available when meeting a large oncoming vehicle. The lorry is clearly on its own side of the road and there is plenty of space for us to pass each other safely. If there was no centre line, it would be much harder to judge the space available. Of course, we need to plan to deal with this hazard much earlier than this in case there's not enough room to pass. So let's step back in time a little. Even at this distance, the centre line helps us to judge that there is enough space to pass the lorry safely, as long as the lorry stays within its lane. So now we scan the road ahead of the lorry, looking for any reason why the lorry might cross the centre line onto our side of the road, reducing the space available. Are there any cyclists or pedestrians the lorry is likely to pass? Are there any low-hanging trees or obvious potholes which the lorry is likely to move around? Or any vehicles sticking out from junctions or driveways which might cause the lorry to move out? As there is no reason for the lorry to move out, we can continue as the white line shows us we have enough space. Sometimes there is no centre line, or the centre line disappears, as here. The lack of the centre line reduces our confidence in the space available to pass oncoming traffic safely. When we have less confidence, we should slow down. In this case, you can clearly see that the road has narrowed and there simply is not enough space for two vehicles to pass each other safely. In other cases, the centre line may be removed as a traffic calming measure, relying on the same psychology. So, what about double centre lines? These are used to restrict overtaking, and they always have a solid white line on one side of the road, with either a broken line or a solid line on the other side. The best way to think of this is as two separate centre lines. Our centre line is the one nearest to us. The other centre line is for traffic coming towards us and does not apply to us. In this picture, our centre line is currently a broken line, so we are allowed to overtake, if safe. The second centre line does not apply to us, so even though it's solid, we may cross it. For traffic coming in the opposite direction, however, their centre line is solid, so they must not cross it, except in specific circumstances which I'll cover later. But the centre lines are just about to change, so that we will have the solid line and we will then be restricted from overtaking. In this example, we are not restricted for long before the centre line returns to a single centre line again. Then it swaps back to a double centreline with oncoming traffic once again restricted from overtaking. So we need to pay attention and look well ahead, as these restrictions can change quite quickly and overtaking can take some time to complete. You must be able to complete your overtaking manoeuvre before the centreline on your side of the road turns solid. Sometimes you will see double solid white centrelines as shown here. Remember that more paint means more hazard or more restriction. In this case, these mean that vehicles travelling in either direction must not cross the solid centreline, with a few exceptions. To explain these exceptions, let's take a look at what Highway Code Rule 129 says about solid centrelines. You must not cross or straddle it unless it is safe and you need to enter an adjoining premises or a side road. In other words, you can cross a solid white line if turning right into a road or driveway, etc. You may also cross the solid white line to pass a stationary vehicle or to overtake a pedal cycle, a horse, or a road maintenance vehicle which is travelling at 10 miles per hour or less. In all cases, you may only cross the line if it is safe and necessary to do so. In the event of an accident, you are likely to be judged as the one at fault if you have crossed the solid line. Solid white lines are generally used because visibility is restricted, either for you, or the vehicles coming towards you, or for vehicles emerging from the sides. Notice how our view around the corner is restricted. But as our view opens up and we can see further down the road, our solid centreline changes to a broken centreline. We must not overtake where our view is restricted, but we may overtake, if it's safe, once our view is clear. That makes sense? Notice that the oncoming traffic has a solid white centreline on their side of the road, so they must not overtake. They are approaching the bend we have just passed, so their view is restricted while ours has just opened up. This is why we need the double centreline, as the visibility and therefore the restrictions are different depending on which direction you are travelling. So a single centreline would not be appropriate here. Sometimes the number of lanes travelling in different directions is not the same. In that case, the double centreline isn't actually in the centre of the road, but it still divides the traffic travelling in opposite directions. This is most commonly used on long hills, where traffic travelling uphill is given an extra lane to allow them to overtake slow or heavy vehicles which are more affected by the hill. In this example, we are travelling downhill and have a single lane, while traffic coming towards us has two lanes. This is enforced by the solid white lines rather than by any physical central reservation. Apart from the exceptions previously listed, we must not cross the solid line nearest to us, even though our visibility may be good. The lane in the middle of the road is not for us to use. Traffic coming towards us may use the middle lane to overtake, but must not cross the solid white line, so must not enter our lane. This example starts off the same, with double solid centre lines dictating one lane in our direction and two lanes coming towards us. But then the centre line nearest to us changes from a solid line to a broken line. As the solid line ends, so does the restriction. So from that point onwards, we are allowed to use the middle lane to overtake, but so are vehicles coming towards us. The middle lane is shared in this case and can be used by traffic travelling in either direction. So this lane should be used with extreme caution. I hope you found this video helpful and that you now understand more about the variety of centre lines and how they help you to read the road ahead. If you found it helpful, please like, comment and subscribe to my channel to be notified when I publish further videos. My next video in this series, which is due in March 2024, will cover reading how sharp bends are and how much you need to slow down for them. Thanks for watching.